Welcome back to the English Nook. I'm Maya, and today we are tackling a topic that, to be honest, makes a lot of people feel quite lonely. But nobody really likes to talk about it openly. We are discussing why making new friends as an adult is so incredibly difficult.
Oh, tell me about it. I moved to a new neighborhood last year, and let me tell you, trying to find a new friend group felt exactly like going on awkward first dates all over again. You just stand there awkwardly at a coffee shop, wondering if you should ask for their phone number.
Oh, please, Ethan. You are an absolute social butterfly. You probably make 5 new friends just standing in line to buy your morning bagel. Don't act like it's a massive struggle for you.
Hey, that is entirely unfair. Being talkative does not mean it's easy to make deep connections. Wait, let's look at that phrase you just used, social butterfly. That's a fantastic B1 idiom. A social butterfly is someone who is very friendly, loves to talk to everyone, and moves easily from one social group to another.
Yes, exactly like you. But for the rest of us normal people, adulthood changes the rules of friendship completely. Think about it. When we were kids or university students, we were placed in a proximity bubble.
Whoa, hold on a second. Proximity bubble? That sounds like a fancy phrase. Let's break it down before our listeners get confused. Proximity just means being physically close to someone or something. So a proximity bubble means you are forced to be near the same people every single day, like in a classroom or a school bus.
Spot on, Ethan. Thank you for translating my thoughts. Yes, when you are young, you make friends simply because you share the same space for 8 hours a day. You don't have to plan a meeting, you just naturally hang out because you are there.
But once you graduate and start working, that bubble completely pops. Suddenly, you are busy with a full-time job. You have grocery shopping to do. You have bills to pay. And your energy is entirely drained. The biggest barrier isn't that adults don't want friends. It's that we are all suffering from burnout.
Oh, burnout. That is a highly relevant B1 noun. Burnout means a state of total emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. Like working too many hours without a break.
Exactly. You finish a long day at the office, and the last thing your brain wants to do is dress up, go to a noisy networking event, and answer the question, "So, what do you do for a living?" 50 times. You just want to sit on your sofa in your sweatpants and watch TV.
I feel personally attacked by that description because that is literally my plans for this evening. But you're right. Adult friendships require a lot of deliberate effort. We have to actively choose to schedule them. And that is exactly where the friction begins.
And that is precisely what we are going to unpack today. Over this 5-part series, Maya and I are going to share the real psychological reasons behind this adult friend drought, and how you can overcome it without feeling completely awkward.
And don't forget, we will close the episode with the word tour, reviewing 5 premium daily lifestyle terms we used naturally today.
So, if you want to support our little community here, smash that like button, subscribe, and let's figure out why our social lives got so complicated.
Let's look at another major factor, because whenever people complain about being lonely, they usually say, "But I have 500 followers on Instagram." I strongly believe that social media gives us a massive illusion of connection. It makes us feel like we have friends, but it's actually completely empty.
Whoa, illusion. Let's pause right there for our intermediate listeners. An illusion is like a trick, right? It's something that looks real or true, but in reality, it's completely false. Like a mirage in the desert.
Yes, Ethan, exactly. Thank you for the vocabulary rescue. My point is, clicking a little heart icon or typing "congrats" under someone's vacation photo doesn't build a real bond. We are constantly looking at the highlights of other people's lives, which actually makes us feel more isolated because we assume everyone else is having a brilliant time while we are sitting home alone.
Oh, I completely agree. It creates this weird passivity. We think we are keeping in touch, but we are actually just spying on each other from a distance. In the past, if you wanted to know how your mate was doing, you had to physically pick up the phone, call them, and have a proper chat. Now you just watch their 15-second story and think, "Oh, nice, Dave bought a new car." And then you never actually speak to Dave.
Wait a second. Did you just use the British slang word mate? Look at you, Ethan, spending too much time with me and losing your American roots. For our listeners, mate is just a casual, friendly way to say friend or pal, mostly used in the UK and Australia.
Hey, I like how it sounds. It's shorter than friend. But seriously, because we feel like we already know what our mates are doing online, we stop making the effort to create spontaneous catch-ups.
Oh, spontaneous. Let's explain that one right now. When something is spontaneous, it means it happens naturally and suddenly, without being planned or organized in advance. Like when you suddenly decide to text a friend, "Hey, are you free for a coffee in 10 minutes?"
Exactly. But as adults, nobody does that anymore. If you text an adult for a coffee, they look at their calendar app and say, "Well, I am free next Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. for exactly 45 minutes." It kills the magic. Every single hangout has to be scheduled weeks in advance, like a formal corporate board meeting.
It really is tragic. We have traded raw, casual human interaction for clean digital updates. And because we are out of practice, when we actually do meet someone new in real life, we feel incredibly awkward and self conscious.
Yeah, we forget how to small talk without looking down at our phones every 2 minutes. But it gets worse when you add the fear of rejection into the mix, which is what I want to tackle next.
Oh, the fear of rejection. A topic you know absolutely nothing about, Mr. Social Butterfly. Let's move straight into the next section and analyze why adults are so terrified of making the first move.
Okay, let's be totally honest here. The real reason we don't just walk up to someone at a gym or a cooking class and say, "Hey, let's hang out," is the absolute terror of rejection. When you were a kid, if someone says, "No, I don't want to play with your trucks," you cry for 2 minutes and then you move on to another kid. But as adults, a rejection feels like a massive punch to our self-esteem.
Oh, self esteem. Let's pause for a second because that is a really crucial word. Self esteem is basically how much you value, respect, and feel confident about yourself. So when your self esteem is low, you feel like you aren't good enough.
Exactly, thank you, Maya. And because we want to protect our self-esteem, we put up these high, invisible walls. We act like we are too busy or too cool to make new friends, just because we are terrified the other person might say no, or worse, ignore our text message the next day. Making a new friend requires a lot of vulnerability.
Whoa, look at Ethan bringing the deep psychological insights today. But let's unpack vulnerability for our B1 listeners. It sounds complicated, but vulnerability just means being brave enough to show your true feelings and weaknesses, even if you risk getting hurt or rejected.
Hey, I have a sensitive side, Maya. But yes, it means opening up. When you ask someone to grab a coffee, you are essentially saying, "Hey, I like you and I want to be your friend." That makes you feel completely exposed. If they give you a cold answer or make an excuse, it hurts. So instead of taking the risk, most adults just choose the safe option, staying inside their comfortable, lonely little routine.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. We treat friendship like a high stakes gamble instead of a casual experiment. We assume that if a potential friend doesn't immediately become our best friend forever, then the interaction was a complete failure.
Right. We overthink the whole process. We worry about what to say, how we look, or if we are being annoying. We forget that the other person is probably just as lonely and awkward as we are, sitting there waiting for someone else to make the first move.
That is so true. We are all just lonely people waiting in circles for someone else to say hello first. Let's move on to the next section and look at a brilliant practical strategy to break this cycle and make connections simple again.
Right, enough about the problems. Let's talk about the absolute best hack to make new friends as an adult without the awkwardness. The trick is to completely forget about trying to make friends and focus entirely on shared interests. You need to put yourself in environments where the friendship happens automatically as a side effect.
Oh, shared interests. Let's quickly clarify that phrase for everyone listening. Shared interests simply means hobbies, activities, or topics that two or more people both like or enjoy doing, like playing football, cooking, or learning a language.
Exactly. If you join a local running club, a pottery class, or a board game group, the pressure vanishes. You aren't standing there trying to sell yourself like a product on a first date. You are focused on the activity. You are talking about the running route, the clay, or the game strategy. The conversation flows completely naturally because you already have common ground.
I actually 100% agree with you on this, Ethan. It takes away that awful self conscious feeling. You don't have to manufacture things to talk about. But the secret key here, and this is where most adults fail, is consistency. You can't just go to a photography workshop once, see that nobody immediately asked you to be their best friend, and give up.
Oh, consistency. Let's break that down right now because it's a super important B1 word. Consistency means the habit of always behaving in the same way, doing the same thing, or showing up regularly over time. Like going to the gym every single Tuesday, not just once a month.
Look at you, stealing's my job as the vocabulary teacher. Yes, consistency is everything. Studies show it takes around 50 hours of shared time to move someone from a stranger to a casual friend. You need to become a regular face in that environment. When people see you week after week, their defenses naturally drop, and starting a casual chat becomes completely effortless.
Exactly. You become part of the furniture. People expect to see you there, and suddenly, grabbing a quick drink or a coffee after the session feels like the most natural next step in the world.
Precisely. It turns a scary social mission into a comfortable routine. So, let's wrap up today's strategic session, leave our social anxieties behind, and head straight into the final word tour to lock in our 5 essential B1 friendship turns. And welcome to the final stop of today's journey, the word tour. Today we solved the puzzle of adult friendship. Let's review our 5 core B1 expressions so you can start using them in your conversations immediately.
And let's see if Maya can explain them faster than I can interrupt her. Go ahead, Maya.
I'd love to see you try. Word number 1 is the noun phrase social butterfly.
A very friendly, talkative person who loves to chat with everyone and moves easily between different social groups.
For example, Ethan is such a social butterfly that he made 3 new friends while waiting in line for a coffee.
Guilty as charged. Word number 2 is the noun, burnout.
A state of total emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by too much prolonged stress or working too hard.
For example, after working 60 hours this week, severe burnout made her cancel all her weekend social plans.
Word number 3 is the noun illusion.
A trick or a false idea that looks real or true on the outside, but is completely false in reality.
For example, social media apps often create a massive illusion of deep friendship and connection.
Word number 4 is the noun, vulnerability.
The brave act of opening up and showing your true feelings or weaknesses, even if you risk getting hurt or rejected.
For example, sharing your childhood stories requires a lot of vulnerability, but it builds strong bonds.
And finally, item number 5 is the noun consistency.
The positive habit of always acting the same way, doing the same thing, or showing up regularly over a long period of time.
For example, showing up to the pottery class with absolute consistency is the best way to become a familiar face.
Look at that! We survived the list without a single argument. Now, before our listeners head off, it is time for our interactive comment challenge.
Yes, we want to hear from you right now. Pick just one word or phrase from today's word tour list, whether it's burnout, social butterfly, or consistency. And write one quick, natural sentence about your own life in the comments below.
Don't overthink the grammar or translate it back and forth in your head. Just type out the first natural thought that comes to mind. Maya and I will be reading every single comment to reply and chat with you.
And if our friendly bickering made your English practice a little brighter today, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world to our little community here at the Nook.
Thank you for your wonderful focus, your time, and for sharing this space with us today.
Step out of your comfort zone. Show a little consistency. And we will see you very soon at the Nook for another real-life English adventure.
Take care of yourselves and your mates, everyone. Bye-bye.